people are going to be surprised. I think, I hope people are going to be surprised by TRVL, and I will take all the credit. No, I won't. I wish I could. Do you know what? I've been hoping and praying and whatever, but TRVL will go to like a unicorn status, and then I can grow my stream, because you have all these people like really interested in Dtravel and TRVL, and finally I can grow my stream, and people are like, wow, this guy's been talking about this token for years. Why have we not followed him? He knew what he was talking about. He had something. He was onto something. That was my plan. My plan. So short of me winning the lottery and just buying up $50 million worth of TRVL, which I probably would do if I won the lottery, because I'm a bit mental. I'm still hoping for this to go up in a dramatic way so I can grow my stream. Grow my stream. Yeah, that's really what I'm interested in right now, growing my stream, my live stream. Entertainment value. So look at this candle here, guys. Look at this candle. Weekly bullish engulfing. Yay. Don't you just love it? Don't you love weekly bullish engulfing with increasing volume? Don't you just love those candles? Yeah, that is for me a really nice candle. Increasing volume. Why is it increasing? Because the previous week it's increased, doesn't it? Increasing volume. You've had a full reversal of the previous week. Okay, assuming we close here, we're closing into the previous week. Yeah, so we're closing into a previous range, and then our next week, at the very least our next week, that target is the top of the previous week, another 18%. That'll be my next target. When it comes to candles and ranges, you're just trying to reverse previous candles. You're trying to reverse them. You go candle by candle, you go week by week, you're just trying to reverse it. I did say the monthly candle looked good to go up because it just closed flat red, and you see already from the monthly bottom, probably from when I streamed, we're already up like 5-6%. Arguably people will say, well, oh yeah, all my other altcoins are up more, whatever. You know, you could have applied the same logic to other altcoins. I wasn't looking at other altcoins, I was looking at this one. Okay, and that's kind of where my logic comes from. So I had a really good meeting with Dtravel on Friday, and there's lots of good things coming. Let me just see if I can find the notes, because I do take notes. Do they get notes? Usually get automatic notes sent to me. Bizarrely this time it didn't. Hold on. No, I didn't. Oh, that sucks. That would have been a good summary. Yeah. Well, let's go back to the beginning, huh? Let's go back to the beginning. I'm back, as I've been saying every day, every time I've streamed. I'm back in Dtravel. I'm wearing the Dtravel hat. I'm wearing the Dtravel t-shirt. I'm not getting paid, so don't think I'm back and I'm getting paid. I'm not. I'm back because I'm enthusiastic about this token, this project. Dtravel, just go and have a look. It's dtravel.com. D represents direct or decentralized or daddy. I don't know, just make it up. D. What does D stand for? Or dangerous travel. I don't know. You could just kind of add your own acronym to that. Go to dtravel.com. Here you've got Find Stays, which is the traveler app where you can actually search the network to find properties to rent, to stay. And then you've got the managed bookings, which is your back end for people like myself, the hosts, the operators. And then here, this is for new people, add listings. This is where you can create a listing, create a website based off your listing. And then there's some other aspects. There's other things here which might be helpful. contribute. I don't really, this is just like documentation, I guess. Night Protocol developers, it's mainly for developers who want to kind of participate in what we're building. Okay, so it's always slow to begin with, and then over time more and more people will get interested, and then you have this learning zone, which is where most of the kind of investors are and people who are curious are interested in. What's interesting actually is I wanted to go to the Dtravel Telegram channel, and someone posted a question, a few questions actually. I've seen this guy before. His name is Ferry. I've seen him around. This is the guy. There you go, mate. Ferry. You're famous on my stream. And he had some really good questions, sir. He said, I really like the team. Well, the great thing is the team are changing, or has changed, or is in the process of changing. So the team's going to look even more slick going forward, and what they are building. And after seeing them build for such a long time, 4+ years, I trust that they are here for the right reasons, and I can vouch for that. They are, especially now that there's going to be a little bit of a shake up, dare I say it, shake up, or a reorganization. People in Dtravel are for the right reasons. Now, questionably, what are the right reasons? Like, that's quite subjective, isn't it? Like, for you might have right reasons. You're an investor. Look, however, for me to make a significant investor, your right reasons are investments, trying to invest and kind of increase your investment profile in terms of value. You have people in Dtravel who are interested in the decentralized aspect of it, the pure maximalist decentralist crypto geeks who just only care about the decentralized part. They don't really care about the investment part or the value part. There are those people in Dtravel like that. There are people in Dtravel who are interested in the tech part, who are more interested in the ability to do new things in tech, and that brings them to Dtravel, because this is quite many aspects of what Dtravel are doing is very innovative steps in terms of doing what we're doing. And then other people like maybe myself who are more interested in having a more operator owned, host owned, Airbnb-esque type business, where hosts own the business through their participation and their ownership of the token, the native token, which should, in my imagination, reflect the value of the business, or the value of the network, and the technology behind the network should be intrinsically integrated into the token value in some meaningful way. I would say that tokenomics should do that, but there are other variables and factors which does that. And then there are other people like maybe yourself or other people who are just really interested in making money. Okay, I think we're all in the last part. I think everyone is interested in making. I think it's stupid if we weren't. Yeah, it'd be stupid if people are interested in Dtravel and not interested in making money. I think that doesn't make any sense, because I'm putting in energy, you're putting in energy, you just put in a bunch of energy asking these questions. You know, that's your time. Time is money. That's valuable energy which we could be putting elsewhere. I'm making videos. I could be doing videos about other things, and actually I want Dtravel to succeed. I think I want it to succeed. I want my energy to be rewarded in a monetary sense, of course, but at the same time I have other rewards, which is satisfaction and feeling good about achieving something, and being part of something big, being part of a movement. The ability to take chunks out of Airbnb in the future is really appealing to me. Building my stream or growing my stream through Dtravel success, why not? You know, like, I have many incentives, not just monetary incentives. And for me, the decentralized part is also on the list. It's probably not at the top, because I think we're still in a massive transition stage between Web 2 and Web 3. Maybe Web 3 will skip Web 3 and move on to some kind of future iteration of Web 4. Yeah, it's possible, you know, like everyone's so honed in on Web 3. Maybe we'll just skip Web 3 and go to Web 4 because there's a new innovation which takes us forward much quicker in a much shorter time, and we just skip a step. Who knows? Like, no one can really predict that. But my idea of Dtravel is a decentralized token economy, yeah, where TRVL is the currency of that economy, the foundation of that economy. And that economy is a self-sustained growing economy, which is secured, and where the value is secured and brought in by the real world network. There's a kind of like a synchronization between what's happening in the real world network and what's happening in the token world, the crypto world, the crypto network. And so to create that kind of environment, we probably need to change the tokenomics. And so a year and a half ago, I proposed a tokenomics idea which wasn't accepted by the leadership. Leadership's changing, so there's chances in the future that we can have discussions about the tokenomics and implement those changes if people agree, or if people are inclined to agree. I think one of the biggest downfalls that we've had are poor tokenomics, actually. I just think any investor who looks at our tokenomics, I'll bring it up, not to criticize the past, like for me, the past is, generally speaking, water under the bridge, generally speaking. But it's important to highlight weaknesses and to also understand why TRVL hasn't picked up or hasn't been successful. Yeah, the TRVL sustainable token model. And I think people might argue that the reason why it hasn't succeeded is because it hasn't been implemented yet. Like there's no stake to earn vault, there's no stake to boost vault, X, Y, and Z. The reality is that this model can only work if the business is financially sustainable, the actual real world business, and it's not. Okay, it's clearly not. Yeah, Dtravel is not making enough money to sustain this model. This is really for a model where you have so much capital, so much money, that actually then it would make sense, because the rewards and the fees and everything can make sense. And then this is kind of connected to the Night protocol, which actually is a crazy innovation, which in the current situation of where we're at, it's not going to work, probably won't work. Yeah, if it hasn't worked in the past, it's probably not going to work in the near future. Not that it's not a good idea, but the reality is that to make this work, and I'll explain, yeah, this is it, the product list, this is it, how is it different from Web2 systems. There's lots of kind of jargon here, but ultimately, look, Dtravel have pasted in Airbnb, Vrbo, and Booking's logos here as major databases and major supply managers, and they're trying to link it to this Night protocol. You have to get these big businesses on board. How are you going to get them on board? You're not. No, Airbnb is not going to come and for 2 million market cap, 2.5 million market cap crypto startup and change all of their whole business because we have an idea, because we have a great idea. It's not going to happen. Yeah, we're just not big enough. We're not big enough to move the market in the sense of influencing these big players to adopt what we're suggesting, which is Night protocol, which is a standardized representation of a booking. Yeah, to kind of unify all the data silos and all the way data is communicated between all these kind of aspects of creating bookings and reservations. It's just not going to happen. It's just not a reality in our current situation. So you have lots of issues here, which is causing. So in the token price, when all of this was being announced, you had a lot of hype. All of this is hype. Maybe this is hype too, but ultimately it ends up with lower prices because people realize that it doesn't lead to higher prices and higher values in token price. It doesn't end up in higher values because there's no adoption. There's no adoption for the Night protocol in the way that it was initially presented or sold to the community and to the market. Yeah, that's the reality. No, Airbnb isn't involved. No, Vrbo isn't. So when you kind of post these icons and people look at it and go, oh my God, this is amazing, we need to buy. The reality, there's a little bit of disingenuous reflection or representation of the truth in using their logos and saying this is the future. It may be, but it's an idea. That's all it is. It's an idea, and people are now speculating on an idea. But have there Have we made inroads into that? No, because we're just a small startup and no one really knows us. Okay, so this isn't the future. Ultimately, the future will be the tokenomics, changing the tokenomics to create a decentralized token economy. That's where my mind is at. But we're quite away from that too. You know, unfortunately, whatever we suggest or propose has to be built. That takes time, and tested and built. Not just built, it has to be tested and built, and also it has to work. You can't just build something that doesn't work. And so we are still a way away from the future. Okay, so just to kind of answer your question, initially you were saying the right reasons. Well, the point is there's people have different reasons, and so we have to kind of hone in on the reasons that matter now in the current stage of the bull market. Yeah, Bitcoin all-time highs, ETH starting to show a little bit of strength, altcoins starting to catch up. Yeah, that's really what's important right now, because it's going to answer some of your other questions. So however, for me to make an investment, I would need the following information to make a model for myself. Correct. Runway. So ultimately, to answer your question, the higher the token price belong in the runway, because the higher the token price, it means the less token that Dtravel can liquidate or sell to fund the future. Okay, so if we were trading at 50 cents or $1, we'd probably have a crazy runway, probably 10 years or more. We could probably spend more money on developers and invest more on the development of Dtravel. Yeah. And but when the token is at rock bottom prices, obviously we're at the really lowest point of the runway. From what I gather, we have about 8 months runway, and that's after the changes, which has reduced the spend. And so that's kind of correlated to the burn rate. I don't know what the burn rate is, but I know that that's been minimized. Like it's right now it's streamlined. So I know that certain people have been let go to make the burn rate efficient. I don't really have the numbers, so I can't help you there. And then 3 nights per month booked, not cumulative. And so this is a good question. I think you could just work that out. No, I think you could probably just work that out, can't you? Because I don't have the numbers either. I think we could just probably work that out together. What does it say here? Oh, nights. You're looking for nights. It doesn't have a number, does it? Oh, it does. Total room nights booked. What's that number? 9,846. Your question was nights per month booked. So how many months are there here? Well, we can just work it out. Look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So I don't know, I'm just making this up. 9, 8, 4, 6 divided by 29. It's like 339 nights. 340 nights booked on average over the past 29 months. I don't know if that helps. New properties listed per month, not community. Again, I think you should just go and work it out, because you can probably work it out. Not as much as I want, but obviously since April, where we were hitting rock bottom, February, April, where everything was shit, like February, everything was falling apart. There was arguments on Telegram. You probably saw some of those arguments. You probably kind of you're pissed off at me because of some of those arguments, so I apologize. No hard feelings. We've gone up like 1,000. So in the last 5 months, we've increased by 1,000. Yeah. So that's about 200 per month over the last 5 months, isn't it? That you can see there's a little bit of a growth spurt over the last 4 months, and before it was kind of like quite gentle. So we do have these kind of little growth spurts. I don't know what they are. I don't understand what they are. I'm guessing that sometimes you get these like big property managers, and they bring on like 200 properties or 100 properties at a time. Yeah. because Dtravel is really good. And so sometimes these big businesses, they're seeing what's going on, they're quite informed, and they see that Dtravel is on their channel manager or whatever, and they kind of do a little bit of research and they go, actually, this is really good. I can have a website for free and everything's included, and they just come and join our network. And so that's probably what it is. You could probably calculate this going all the way back, probably doing exactly the same thing, dividing it by 29 and working out the monthly figure. So let me just do that now. 5,139 divided by 29. According to that, it's about 177 listings per month. It's like 5 a day on average, just based on averages. And a timeline when the team thinks the product will be ready and new hosts will start to get onboarded a lot faster. Now, so I think I've answered some of your questions. Runway, 8 months at bare minimum at the moment, not at the lowest price. And as the token price increases, that runway increases. So I think we're good. Burn rate, I don't know, but it's at the bare minimum now because some people have been let go and we're still kind of developing. Nights month, I've answered that. New properties listed, I've answered that. And then the timeline. And so for me, the timeline is going to be the product is ready. What? But the question, oops, wrong screen. The question is not when the product is going to be ready, because I think the product is ready. The question is when new hearts will start to get onboarded a lot faster. That's the question. Because I think the product is ready. I've been using the product for months, haven't I? Look. Oops, here it is. Oh, I have to log in. That's annoying. Let me just quickly log in. I usually am logged in. I would have to do it off screen because I don't want people to see my personal data. Give me a second. Just quickly log in. You are logged in. There you go. So would you argue that it is working, right? Look, I'd argue it is working. Look, I got a confirmation just recently. So it is working, but it's not working the way I want it to work, in the sense that obviously you have the traveler application and I'm not getting bookings through the traveler app, am I? They're not coming through the application. They're coming through people that I know who are coming back to me and booking directly. So I think the product is working. This does work. You can search and book London. Yeah, I can book my apartments here. Look, that's me. And you can go in there and you can book, pay using fiat, credit card, crypto. They can WhatsApp me. Look, that's new. I haven't seen that. It's WhatsApp icon. Check availability, etc. I'd argue it's working, huh? I'd argue it's working. What else are you? What are you saying isn't working if you think it's not working? But the question that you're really asking is when new hosts will start to be on board a lot faster, and I think that is the $1 million question. Because when I imagine the future, I imagine that there's going to be a breakout in onboarding and visibility of Dtravel. I think we're not there yet. We haven't had that breakout. Okay, so I don't think anyone can answer that categorically, but I don't think any of this is, I think none of this is a breakout, like a breakout, like suddenly you get 10,000 or whatever, you get it on the mainstream media and there's a little bit of hype. I think the best chance we have of creating that environment where we do have crazy fast onboarding is going to be in the next 6 months, because hopefully crypto is going to go up and retail are going to get involved. And I've already talked to Dtravel and they are looking at aggressive forms of marketing. Yeah. And I think our opportunity to have that kind of explosive growth will be in the next 6 months. So that's kind of whether that carries, whether that kind of momentum, that's the beginning of something that builds momentum, or if that's just a one-time hit wonder, we won't know. Okay, but it will have an impact on everything. It will have an impact on the bookings, etc., the revenue, etc. It's going to have an impact. Okay, and what's more importantly, and what's more important is that it's going to have an impact on our visibility, and it's going to have an impact on future investors coming and getting involved. Yeah, when we first, like 1.5 years ago, we were at, when were we at? We were at, like, let me see when it was. It was here. It was 2024. We were at about 3,000, and I said we probably need to be about 10x by next year, 30,000. That, for me, that was the right target. And this is operators, sorry, listings, sorry. We're about 1,500. I was saying we need to be like at 15,000 by a year. So we're kind of like, we're at 5,000 and we're a year and a half in. So we're way under my initial idea of good targets. And I think a large part of the reason why we're underperforming is because of all the difficulties that Dtravel has experienced over the last 1.5 years. Difficulties that most people don't know about. If you're following Telegram, you would have read some of those conversations in the past, and you will know. And I think we're at this point now in time where we can now move on. We're kind of right there at the pinnacle of the end, the precipice of the beginning, the transition stage where we can just turn over a new leaf and move on to the future and forget about the past and start to do things better. I almost think that we needed to go through all of that to get to where we're going. I almost feel that everything happens for a reason, and it's almost like we needed to experience that. I had to leave. I was, you know, I from February on through till maybe a few weeks ago, even this week or whenever, last week when I started streaming, I've experienced the most difficult as part of my life personally. So Dtravel and my kind of relationship with Dtravel has had a negative impact on my own personal life in the most detrimental way. Okay, I'm not going to go into details here on public stream, but I think but when I look at my personal life, I feel like I needed to go through that. That was part of my journey. Maybe the universe needed me to go through that path. I kind of feel the same thing about Dtravel. I almost feel that everything that happened correctly, and we needed to go through all of those difficulties to get to actually where we need to be now for the future. And so I'm very optimistic that it all happened correctly. And right now, everyone has an opportunity to buy in at a really good price. You know, even now, like, we've got a really nice bullish engulfing with increasing volume. Go back to the charts, because that's really where my forte is, the charts. And I did a really kind of strong analysis on my last stream about levels of resistance and what I'm kind of potentially expecting in the future, potentially expecting some kind of structured bottom here. And so this could be a really good entry. And you would arguably, and then this is the thing, I think a lot of people are thinking to themselves, well, if I buy TRVL and then other altcoins pump and TRVL doesn't, then TRVL's shit. Well, no, that's not how it works. You have to have a portfolio. Hopefully TRVL is going to be a part of your portfolio, and you're going to catch an average across the move of all of your coins that you're invested in. Some of them will go to zero. Some of them will do nothing. That's just the way crypto is. Some of them, that's why you don't go all in on one crypto. But TRVL could just be, like I've explained in the past, a mooted target for me is going to be the value area high. Just a new range forming in the value area. And if there is some kind of crazy pump season in the future, then you could see extended targets. And if we do, even if we go up to the value area high, we're looking at a 500% increase in value. I think that's quite a healthy increase in value for anything, for any investment. To get a 500% increase in value over the next 6 months, that's really good. If anyone can catch that, then that's already really good. It's only greed that keeps you in for higher, and sometimes greed can make people extremely rich, and that's what I talked about. 17.5 cents. If we could get to 17.5 cents, we're talking about a 3,000 increase in value. It's a 6x from the value area high. it's going to require a lot of volume, and I think we're going to see indications of if that could happen. Exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about exposure, increasing onboarding, increasing bookings. I think you're right. I think there is a correlation between that and the market sentiment and the bullishness of the charts. So what I know is that by the end of August, i.e. the summer, by the end of August, TRVL will, or Dtravel will be able to accept bookings in Bitcoin, yeah, on the Lightning Network. That's what I've been told. And there's going to be a new kind of staking mechanism introduced, not like before where it was just really rubbish, simple staking with a boring API, APY or APR. Yeah, it's going to be something a little bit more interesting. And hopefully that's going to capture the market's imagination when that gets launched. And hopefully that's going to lock up a lot of TRVL. And hopefully for the future, at least the near future, we're going to get a lot more interest in Dtravel and what Dtravel's doing, what Dtravel's proposed. And when it comes to the onboarding, I've been talking to Dtravel about the possibility of doing something very different and trying to onboard properties in certain parts of the world where it's not where you could easily onboard a lot of properties, because money exchange and money transfers are costly and expensive parts of Central America, etc., South America. And so there is potential for Dtravel to make that happen if they focus and they push specific kind of marketing proposals. TikTok is also a big deal. I mean, I think we've never done that. And so it wouldn't be difficult to get TikTok influencers to push Dtravel, just the same way that TikTok influencers push Airbnb properties. They could push Dtravel properties and they could reach hundreds of thousands and bring awareness to Dtravel. I think also in the next alt season, there's going to be a lot of investor sentiment for investing in these kind of innovative real world asset type tokens, decentralized networks. And so I think we're on the right step now. We're on the right track, because we're going to have a much more kind of ambitious, hungry agenda going forward. And like, we've hit rock bottom. I think from rock bottom, people are desperate to get up, like people are hungry to get up. And the other thing that's changed, which I announced, which no one's announced, Dtravel even announced it, is that the corporation's been moved to the USA. And so that's going to make it more investor friendly for American investment, American venture, because it's no longer going to be offshore somewhere in the Caribbean. It's going to be based in America. And so we'll be able to catch the American crypto wind with that change as well. So there's a lot of things going on. Now, I haven't really talked about the charts so much, except one thing. We're going to see probably a bullish weekly engulfing candle with increasing volume. We already had a bullish 3-day candle, 4 days ago, whatever. And that was quite bullish. See that? And we've had increasing volume, increasing prices. You see these two candles, increasing volume, increasing prices. That's bullish. Yeah, that's not bearish. That's bullish. Yeah. Potentially we're forming a higher low here. Okay. So we have a lot of good things happening on the charts. I think a lot of people are starting to get interested and excited. You can see we're getting a nice flat correction here on this first initial kind of move. We're getting a really nice flat correction. It says bear, but actually the MACD suggests we're getting a bullish divergence form here, because you can see the MACD is going down and the price is still quite high. So even though the RSI is suggesting bearishness here and here, the reality is the RSI is going down and the price is going sideways. So actually, for me, this is actually quite bullish, not bearish. It says bear. I don't know why it says bear. Oh, it's the RSI is looking at the highs. So yeah, at the highs it's bearish. That's correct, because you have lower highs on the RSI, higher highs on the price. At the highs it's bearish, but across the whole range, because I'm looking at the MACD, I'm seeing that it's actually quite bullish. Have a look. You see lower MACD, lower MACD, lower lows, higher lows. That's a hidden bullish divergence. Yeah. And so basically what it means is people are selling, but the selling is being absorbed at the lows. So at the lows, it's quite bullish. So I think this is quite bullish at the moment. Next week is going to be a green candle. I mean, this week's going to be quick. Doesn't mean that and this is the thing you guys got to realize, just because it's a green candle doesn't mean it's just going to go suddenly into a green. It could, yeah, but it could also, you could also get a little bit of a pullback. Yeah, so just be aware of that. And if you do get a pullback, that's fine, because you could, and honestly, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I have no idea, but you could get a pullback all the way down to the weekly level for a push up later on in the week. It's always possible, all right? I think ultimately it depends on if people sell or not. If no one sells, the price doesn't go down. And then when the market moves, people start buying and the price goes up. So that's kind of what we're experiencing now. I think a lot of people have stopped selling. I've got that vibe when I'm looking at the charts. I'm looking at the charts. I'm seeing, I don't really see much selling actually. It's actually quite bearish. It's actually quite bearish for the point of control to be at the top of a range, which it is right now. But the price is above the point of control. So potentially that's quite bearish, because that actually means there's a lot of volume forming here. And as long as the price kind of stays here, it's fine. This can get bearish if the price starts falling, and then you could end up to there. You could end up to there, which would be fine, which wouldn't be wrong. It wouldn't be bearish. It would just be coming back to the golden pocket and the value area low. That's really the right place to buy if you get that up, if the price does decide to do that, you know. That's really the right place to buy. So there is that chance that could happen. I'm not saying this is it, this is the top and this is now just going to go forward. I don't know what's going to happen. It's also possible that the price just does that, goes right back up, and it continues, you know, like, and just comes and just gets to the lows, and someone just market buys and pushes the price right back up. You know, that's also possible. There's possibilities, there's variations of possibilities when it comes to the price. But I think I've answered your question, Ferry. I think if I haven't, then you feel free to pop your more questions and I'll try and answer them. And honestly, I'm just answering it based on my knowledge. This isn't from Dtravel. I'm just basing on from what I've heard and the conversations I've had. I'm just trying to help build the community and just kind of bring back some kind of fun to what Dtravel really is. It should be funner, decentralized travel. But for everyone who wants to know about the charts on TRVL and Dtravel, and you kind of just go to my videos. So I'm starting to make videos. I'm starting to publish them. If you go to my channel and like them as well, like all my videos. These are the ones. Dtravel, TRVL vibes. 6 days ago, 4 days ago, 1 day. 1 day ago, I did a video. I did the key resistance levels and bullish patterns to watch. This is the first video I did, which was talking a little bit more about the fundamentals. And then this is just kind of like some price potentials and projections. Today, I've just been talking about the weekly candle, effectively answering some questions from Telegram. The weekly candle, why I think it's a really nice candle. It's an increasing volume bullish green candle. And it kind of affirms what I was saying about that monthly candle. I do expect that monthly candle to be reversed. I think that will be kind of the area we have to see. We have to flip into support, this area here. We can flip that into support with some kind of structural change here. I'm imagining an inverse head and shoulders or some kind of rounding bottom type formation. Ideally, we have to take the neckline at 1.25 cents for a market structure change. If we get that market structure change, you're going to get crypto start buying this like there's no tomorrow, because crypto is interested in bullish structure, and a weekly market structure which is bullish is very attractive, especially when you can come in at really low prices. Even if you come in at 1.3 cents, you're coming at really low prices, and then you have quite nice price targets of let's say someone sees the structural change and they come in a bit at 1.3. Even if the price, then they're targeting like 9 cents, and they're still looking for a 500% increase in value. And then the other thing that I'm seeing now in the charts is this crazy amount of volume that we've collected here. There's a lot of volume at these lows, yeah, and I think that's quite a good sign. That's kind of what you want to see. You want to see volume at the lows. Even if you get a low volume rise, yeah, that's fine. That would be a bearish rise, but it's fine because we've got volume in the lows. But ideally what we want to see going forward is increasing volume, increasing prices. We start seeing increasing volume, increasing prices, then actually the rise, not only is it healthy because people are selling and the price keeps on going up, it's also really bullish because it could mean we could be looking for higher prices. Yeah, so we have to see how this plays out. Whatever happens in the future, if we want to see an explosion to the upside, I feel like we need to get back in, like I've talked about this a lot, we need to get back into the range. Yeah, and then we need to be here for a while. We need to get back into the range. We need to be here for a while. If we can get back into the range and be here for a while, maybe a year even, you know, like if we can get back up there and just spend a year in there or longer, then in the future, whenever, you could end up with an explosive move like that. Yeah, in the future. And this is the thing about TRVL, you're looking at the chart now, you're thinking, oh my God, this is really bearish. No, in the future, we could end up with a situation where we get this kind of move, then you end up in a range. And what ends up happening is that people who've made money now, but they're still bullish on a project, they'll just put limit orders at 2 cents. They'll just accumulate at 2 cents, back at 2 cents again. And so you end up where the price trying to get underneath 2 cents, it can't get underneath 2 cents. You create that you're back into the range, and people start to reaccumulate the floor of the range. And eventually what happens is that there's no more tokens to sell. And then when the market starts to reverse and go up, the crypto market, whatever market, the risk on market, you end up with an explosion to the upside. Usually correlated with more bullish things happening in the real world, either the real world network exploding, or the revenue growing, or massive changes in the tokenomics, which brings large amounts of intrinsic value to the TRVL token, things like that, which kind of get crypto interested regardless of the season, regardless of whether it's bull or bear season. So it's kind of what I'm imagining right now based on everything that I've discovered recently, and kind of being back, and I'm back in the project to not just promote the project because I want my token price to go up, but also because I really do believe in the future of decentralized travel. I have a vision of an economy, a token economy powered by TRVL, which is very, 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 very advanced for where crypto is at right now. I think a lot of tokenomics and token economies are so primitive, they're so basic. Basically, they're get-rich-quick schemes for the token founders and the initial investors, and that's all they are. And they basically screw late adopters or early adopters and crypto investors. I have a different vision for this, and so this is the kind of conversations we'll be having in the future, hopefully, and hopefully we'll be able to kind of have those kind of robust conversations. And if we do implement those changes, I think it's going to be this will end up, I honestly believe we'll end up with a unicorn in Dtravel. It's kind of what I'm imagining right now, but you know, there's different variations of this, and so you could end up, if the market doesn't like what it sees, you could end up with a pump, lower high, and you could end up revisiting the lows. It's possible, you know. So I don't want to be overly bullish. There are also variations of possibility where actually we're still in some kind of correction here, like a corrective. It's still corrective, and you revisit the bottoms, and the time, it's just all timed wrong, you know. We have to see what happens with the rest of crypto. So that's kind of TRL. I've gone on a little bit, but whatever. I'll publish it, and if people are interested, they can watch, and if they don't, if they're not, then fine. Whatever. So I've kind of gone over everything. RH is saying inshallah. Hope everything is well with you right now. Well, you know, like, what can I say? It's amazing because Dtravel hitting the lows, TRVL hitting the lows, was timed perfectly with a relationship breakup, like a 3-year relationship breakup. Crazy. And I guess what happened was that I wasn't able to control my emotions to prevent the collapse of what I saw Dtravel at the time from impacting my real life. You know, I was so involved in this, and I was so invested in the success of Dtravel. And you know, like right now I'm looking at TRVL. I need a win. I want to win. I'm hungry. I'm hungry for this to succeed. I don't see a bad chart. I just see a corrective chart. I've talked about this in my previous streams. Maybe, you know, maybe we can go up to 17.5 cents. That would be a win, wouldn't it? That would be a massive win if we can do that. We get a really nice wave one pump, and then we're in the bear market, get corrective for whatever the bear market is, and then we can have a really nice wave three like that. That's kind of what I'm imagining. If we can line all the ducks in a row and go bam, although I'm a vegan so I don't kill ducks, but slice all the carrots, then I am thinking to myself, it'd be nice if we can get a 5-wave move and hit 17.5 cents this market. Yeah, this market. And the thing is, right now the market cap of TRVL is $2.5 million. At 17.5 cents, with enough people exiting at that price, people like myself and other people, then there is no way that we would hit another all-time low. It'd be impossible, because there'd be enough capital in the project to prevent another all-time low. And that's really what we need. And so effectively what happened here, and this is kind of just a little bit of history, yeah, there wasn't enough capital to prevent an all-time low here, or people took their money and they ran. They didn't put it back in, because if the people who sold at the highs, they could have held the price here and we would be here, wouldn't we? They could have just absorbed the buying, the selling, but they weren't interested because the project was boring or it wasn't interesting enough. So if we do manage to change things and get the marketing and everything going, and we do manage to get a push to 17.5, that would be nice, because you're taking out all of those highs, you're hitting the golden pocket, and then enough people would exit with enough value, and even Dtravel would be able to put aside enough value so that 2.5 million floor would be sustained forever, because it'd be so easy to defend a 2.5 million floor if you could exit enough capital at 17.5 cents. And then everything in between would be range, would be a range. This whole thing would be a range, but you'd be looking at higher lows, higher lows, higher lows for the duration of the bear market, until you eventually get a breakout to the upside with the next bull market. Yeah. And so actually in some ways you could argue that this is really good that we've come so low, because if we can put in a low now at what is the market cap of Dtravel now? Let me have a look. Coin Gecko. At the moment it's 2.5, right? But if I look at historic market cap, how low did it get? $2.1. Look, 2.1. 2.1. What's the lowest it's got? 2.1. 2.1 million is so low. Yeah, so low. It's so low. So if you get up to, if you give people a strong exit, then there's no way that we're going to take out those lows, and so you end up with an all-time low that stays, that holds. And in time, what you end up with is with a higher time frame range forming, volume putting in the range, higher lows, and then you end up with, in the next bull market, you end up with a breakout to the upside. And then if this is the low, then everything that comes after this is a higher low. And so it really does become your bank account, because your value just keeps on going up over time. It goes up, and with the size of the network growing and everything else that's happening, then it becomes a really nice token to accumulate. And it would become even more attractive with my ideas of the tokenomics that I'm thinking about and trying to suggest for the future. So I'm actually really positive about these prices at these lows. I'm going to probably buy some more. Probably. I'm just thinking about when. Maybe tomorrow. I'll buy some more and probably sell some other crypto tokens, some shit meme coins. I can't stand meme coins. And just for me, this is a real win. You know, buy some more, probably tomorrow, maybe today actually, I don't know. I'm thinking about when, because I bought some 6 days ago when I first streamed, and now I'm thinking I need to buy some more. I'm just looking at the charts and I'm thinking, and I like this consolidation here. It's like a flat correction here. I like it. There's quite a lot of volume here as well. Look at the volume, and it's still going sideways, so that's pretty nice. All right, if you like this video, just like, share, whatever. At least like it on YouTube, that will help. And I hope I haven't bored you guys, but so what? Tough. Tough. I'm probably